Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon, and it's time for another World's Deck Analysis. This time it's going to be Quad Zoroark. It's a pretty interesting list, filled with dark types. Lots of these Yveltal to give you like plenty of non-EXs to deal with the Night March matchup, sort of keep up and try and make it difficult for them. Gives you a roughly 50-50, I would estimate, against Night March. Maybe, yeah, I wouldn't say better than 50-50, but around there. Also, the dark typing is going to give you a decent matchup again against Trevenant. It's just one of these decks that has kind of answers to everything, has around 50-50-ish matchups across the board. So it's one of these decks that some players may want to pilot for Worlds because you never really have any bad auto losses and you pretty much back yourself up by saying, you know what, if I play well throughout the day, I can get a good record. So pretty interesting deck. Let's jump into it. First of all, we have a 3-1 split of the non-EX Yveltals. 3 of the Oblivion Wings are going to keep you in the race against Night March. Every turn you present a non-EX in their face that can threaten a knockout on every one of their dudes. And they have to either, you know, carry on Lysandring around to improve their prize trade, or they just have to trade 1-for-1, force more resources out of them, make them keep getting DC Night Marcher every turn. It just makes it awkward for them, which is kind of cool. At the same time, you're accelerating energy to your bench. Attaching a dart from the discard pile to one of your Pokemon is pretty handy. It can help accelerate more of these guys on the bench to give you a good stream of attackers relatively carefree. Also, you could power up this Yveltal and other attackers we have on the bench as well. So, pretty good stuff. The one Fright Knight is handy for bringing it into the active position just for the ability alone to shut off tools. So, again, in the Night March, Oblivion Wing, it is getting one-hit KOs on Joltik and Phantump. With Muscle Band, we take out Mew, and we also take out Phantump if they have Fury Belt. So only Joltik with Fury Belt survives. But then we can just bring in Fright Knight anyway, and then shut off the tools, take the knockout, and then we can use Zoroark to stand in anyway. So the 2 retreat cost is really mitigated quite nicely. As an attacker, we do 60 damage and 60 to a benched EX Pokemon for a Dark Double Colorless. It's not really the emphasis in this deck to use this guy. We just use him as a pivot to shut off tools against Fury Belted Pokemon, and well, yeah, that's the main reason for him in here right now. Just a nice pivot because obviously using Zoroark, we don't mind too much about just bringing him active because we can just stand in most of the time anyway. From there, as the name would suggest, we are playing a 4-4 Zoroark line. Mind Jack is a really powerful attack. For a double colorless energy, we do a base of 10, but we do an additional 30 for each of your opponent's benched Pokemon. Pretty cool. Most decks right now rely on having full benches. Maybe not full, but at least like 3, I would say, is around average. So we're doing around 100, 120 mark just for the double colorless, which is pretty efficient. And then we can scale that up with things like Muscle Band, our Stadium. We have Giovanni in here. We also have other ways of increasing our opponent's bench size, even if they don't want us to. So it's one of these things that your opponent can play around it, but only to a certain extent. We're naturally going to get high numbers in one way or another. So that's always going to be a big attack. Also bear in mind, stand-in is just a great ability for flexibility. We can, if he's on the bench, we can just stand in, switch him with any of our Pokemon into the active. Pretty perfect. With a Float Stone, it gives our entire board free retreat. But most of the time you just want to jump in, attack with him, and either he'll get knocked out or he'll stay there, carrying on punching in the face, which is pretty cool. Following on from that, we're playing 2 Zoroark BREAK. Zoroark BREAK's really cool. We buff ourselves to 140 HP, which is slightly more awkward for certain Pokemon. It's an extra turn of life against Trevenant, which is pretty cool. So that's a good thing to have, I think. Foul Play is the attack that we gain for just a single Dark Energy. We get to copy the opponent's active Pokemon's attack. Very efficient if we're up against big EX decks. We can steal stuff like Grenade Hammer. We can steal all sorts of different attacks right now. Although Giratina's a lot less popular, I still like the 2 count, mainly just for the HP buff against the likes of Trevenant. Even though we're a very heavy Dark deck, this only has a slightly positive Trevenant because we're playing so many lower HP things. So getting into our highest HP dudes as quickly as possible is perfect. Foul playing the Trevenant is also a pretty cool thing to do. With our Stadium, we get 1-hit KOs by foul playing their attack, and we also get to do the 20 snipes. So yeah, pretty good card. I like it as a 2-of in here, just for consistency, getting it out whenever we can. For nice little tech cards, we're playing one of Druddigon. Druddigon's a pretty cool card for, again, just that double colorless, very efficient cost. The whole deck is based on, you know, 1 energy attachments most of the time. Other than, well, I guess this is an exception, but we rarely attack with it. And we are playing one Yveltal EX, which I'll show in a moment. But for the most part, we're trying to be efficient. Small energy attack costs with big payoffs. And here, for just a DCE, we're doing 20, with the addition of 70 if one of our Pokemon was knocked out last turn. Obviously, with the majority of our cards being non-EX, we have a lot of options to use this Druddigon. And hitting that 90 is really good against stuff like Vespiquen Vileplume. We can just kill a Vespiquen, which is pretty cool, with not very much setup. Like, compared to finding a Zoroark piece, this is just bench him, DC him, he's such a big threat. Basically forces Lysandre if we put this guy onto our board, which is great for us. Additionally, if we put a Muscle Band on this guy, we can also threaten Shaymin EXs for just double colorless as well. So really good all-rounder. I really like him as a one-of for being very efficient and helping our prize trade. We're also playing one Yveltal EX, sorry about the glare. He's a pretty nice EX attacker. We all know he's very efficient and powerful against other EX decks. I'm not expecting a huge amount of them at Worlds. I'm expecting a lot of other non-EX builds like this and Night March for the most part, but even then, against the item lockers like Trevenant and Vespiquen, this guy is pretty much the go-to option. He has a huge amount of HP and can run through the Trevenants thanks to weakness, and it runs through, it just hits the right numbers to get through lots of Vespiquen pieces, so it's a really nice one-off in here. Don't think we'd play more, just because we like having a lot of efficiency. We don't have that much acceleration to get this guy going. The format's a little bit too fast for him right now, so just sort of bide your time, and in the right matchups he'll come really clutch again, but oftentimes he's just sort of sleeping in the deck for a while. And rounding out the Pokemon, just the 2 count of Shaymin EX. We want to have the fairly lowest count as possible so we're less vulnerable to Night March really. We do have the option to Sky Return into Fright Knight against that matchup on stuff like Joltik, if ever they go Joltik, so really good for us so that we can get the value and then pick him back up so he's not a threat. Or a target, I guess I should say. So yeah, pretty good option in general, just drawing your cards, keeping you consistent, all those good things. So that's it for Pokemon. I would like to do the whole spread out, but I noticed in my last Night March video that the camera started doing this weird autofocus thing. So I guess pause it when I finish the Pokemon, then move on to the items and stuff like that. Sorry about that, guys, but it was just really annoying when the camera kept autofocusing. So, onto items. 1 Super Rod, just to recycle our dudes, pretty standard stuff. This could debatably be a Sacred Ash if you want the energy to remain in the discard pile, but sometimes we're only playing a 10 energy count, so sometimes you do want the recycle of energy that's, you know, not from Oblivion Wing. We are playing 1 Target Whistle. This is basically a plus 30 damage for the Zoroark's Mind Jack attack. Additionally, it's hopefully grabbing us Shaymin EXs, more easy prizes for us to deal with. This, in many ways, functions like a Night March in how we try and take our prizes. Additionally, we're playing 1 Pokepuff, a new introduction from Steam Siege. It's another way that we can target EX Pokemon, increase our output, force things onto the bench, gain some knowledge as well. You gain a lot of things from this one card. Even though it's a one-off, it's one of these things that you can just play and cross your fingers, hopefully it works out for you. In certain occasions, you can, like, know that it's going to be in there, or you can like N and then hope so that your opponent hasn't been able to play around it. Plenty of options for when Pokepuff's really good. It's just a plus 30. This could be, you know, if you're not happy with Pokepuff, this could be either 2nd Whistle or it could be 3rd Muscle Band, which we're only playing 2 of at the moment. So if you don't like the gimmick of Pokepuff, change this just for a consistent Muscle Band or something. But at the same time, you can catch stuff like, just going first, if you could catch a Shaymin EX, you really slow down their setup, and it's on the bench, so additionally grab like a Hooper, and it's just so much more of a headache for other decks. Like, it's just really good. I do like this card a lot in here. 1 Battle Compressor, just for getting some dark in the discard pile for our Oblivion Wing Yveltals. Additionally, it's going to get some of our tech supporters in the discard as well. Don't feel like it's really necessary to have 2 in here, because we're not all in on the Yveltals and stuff, but in general, it's just a nice consistency boosting card. We are playing 3 of the Trainer's Mails. I'd like this to be 4, haven't found a space just yet. We are playing for VS Seeker, for Ultra Ball, pretty simple. and the camera's starting to do that weird autofocus thing, so let's try and move stuff out of the way. I don't know why, and I haven't been able to change the settings just yet, so hopefully it'll start autofocusing very soon. If not, I'll have to put some of this stuff away. Okay, that's the items. We'll go on to tools. 2 floatstone. The floats are gonna give us free retreat around the board if we put them on Zoroark, or just onto the right target that we need at the time. Most of our dudes have a 2 retreat cost, so these really help mitigate that. And like I was saying, we're playing 1 Puff at the moment, but it could be 3rd Muscle Band. This is a really crucial card, I think, in this list, because naturally our output isn't too huge. We need these sort of buffs to get into 1-hit KO range, so I think it's pretty important. Additionally, the Muscle Band is really good for pressuring lower HP things with this guy. Hitting 50 initially is good, but we have the Stadium in here as well, and we also have Giovanni, so sometimes we can threaten like Froakie, we can threaten other low HP Pokemon of the sort, so pretty good to have the Muscle Band in here to increase our output. Also is great for the combo with Druddigon, and also for Yveltal EX for killing Shaymin EXs, so I like this as a 2-of as well. On to the supporters. We are playing 1 Hex Maniac. Hex is just going to help us out in these supporter heavy, not supporter heavy, what am I saying? Ability heavy decks like Greninja, Aquabox to an extent if they're really reliant on free retreat and you want to deny it for a turn. Also Metal Box if that's going to be popular. Not sure it will be for Worlds, to be honest. It's also going to buy us a turn against Vileplume variants and Trev at times as well, so good to be aware of that. Playing 1 AZ, it can pick off our EXs off the board, which is nice. Additionally, when we're under ability lock ourselves, the deck is pretty chunky, so picking stuff up is also pretty good. We're playing 1 Giovanni Scheme. Again, it's one of these things where your opponent can play around your output to a certain extent, but when we can have, you know, up to like 50 or so damage that we can add on in a turn, sometimes even more than that if we incorporate like Whistle and stuff, so it's really difficult for your opponent to gauge how much you can do each turn, so you can sometimes just outplay them, take knockouts where they wouldn't expect it to come, and Giovanni really helps you do that. In addition, you can draw cards when you're in a real pinch. Next up, the 2 Lysandre. I'm really liking the 2 Lysandre count for Worlds. I think it's definitely going to be, no matter what deck I play, I think it's always going to have a 2 count of Lysandre. Just physically having the 2 makes you better against Trevenant, makes you better against other non-EX decks, so you can target the EXs and jump ahead a little bit better. So I really like the 2 count. Additionally, we have the Fright Knight in here, so combine Lysandre with Fright Knight against Vespivile, you can cause an issue for them if they've had to dump AZ along the way. You also have 2 N in here. N is going to be a nice stabilizer against the likes of Night March when we're taking a single knockout every turn, at least, and turns when we're not Lysandering, we're trying to end most of the time to make it awkward for them to carry on and do what they want to do. So that's pretty good, and in general, this deck is sort of a back and forth sort of deck, where we take a few prizes, lose a few every turn, so N is going to be a nice equalizer. And 4 Professor Sycamore, just for, you know, added consistency, pretty simple stuff. I don't think anyone should really question that. Onto the Stadium, we are playing 2 Reverse Valley. Really like 2 Reverse Valley in here. Specifically Reverse Valley because it's a real nice math fixer in a couple of matchups. Trevenant is a big one, so we can, when we're attacking with Zoroark, we can foul play, steal their Tree Slam. With Reverse Valley, we're actually getting knockouts, which is perfect. Oh no, we're not. Hold on. No, it's not that. It's the Mind Jack where it comes in handy. So even with a 2 bench size, Mind Jack gets the knockout with Reverse Valley, so that's pretty important. It means they literally can't play around it, because I don't think I've ever known a Trevenant player to have a less than 2 bench size, so really, really good for you. Again, it's like these early game options when you're trying to use baby Yveltal with stuff like Muscle Band. It just increases our numbers a little bit more, makes it awkward for people to play around. At the same time, we're just bouncing stadiums. Just bouncing in general is important in a few matchups, like Aquabox, Greninja, these sorts of matchups. Even to an extent, Night March, just to deny it, make them have an extra search card, force them to go jolting. Stuff like that can be helpful for you. So yeah, the 2 Reverse Valley, I believe, is pretty valid in this deck. And from there, we are going to be playing 10 Energy. It's going to be 4 Double Colorless and 6 Dark. Pretty simple. We have Acceleration with this guy, so I think the 6 count is pretty reasonable, and the 4 count as well, just from Mind Jack. It is the main attack of the deck at the end of the day. Also, it's beneficial for the Druddigon, of course, don't forget about that. So yeah, the 10 count of Energy seems pretty solid, pretty safe, and shouldn't have any arguments there. So that is the list, guys. Sorry about the weird auto-focusing camera. It really does trigger me. We'll be back on PTCGO fairly soon. As soon as the set is dropped, we're going to get a bunch of packs and codes and get all the good decks on there. So it won't be long now till we're back doing proper analysis on PTCGO. For now, I hope you can bear with us while we have our crummy little proxies, even though it's just a one-off proxy in this entire deck. So yeah, that is the list. Let me know what you guys think about Quad Zoroark for Worlds. Is it going to be a big contender? Who knows? Is Pokepuff overrated? Is it, you know, really, really valuable in this deck? Who knows? Let me know what you guys think about it and everything else in the comment section below. Please leave a like to this video if you did so, and subscribe if you haven't already. For now though, it has been Joe from OmniPoke, and I will see you guys next time.